So we are coming off that engine mount, under oil pan, skipping third member up into this other engine mount. So let me show you how I'm gonna measure this. Use our vindicator here. I'm gonna guess at a 60. Grab it, we're making it at 1.5 inch tube. This right here, this flat surface is your clamping edge. So you can go both ways here. We take this, come underneath our 100 series here. I've already got that pink line right there. You'll see why in a second. So we are set at 60. Hold it up like that. We're kind of in 3D space here because it's got to go forward a couple inches, but you kind of get the idea. A 60 runs into our engine mount, and this is our third link. It's under the oil pan, and then I'm using that clamping surface right there, that flat spot underneath that upside down 4. We mark our pink mark there, right? Boom. That gives us a place of known. Come over here. We try a 60, and a 60 just doesn't work. It's too much. So, go over to our workbench here. See if I can do this with one hand. Flatten this guy out. Can't do it with one hand. Go back and back. Set to 40 degrees now. Come up, we still have our known point. Hover into space here. That's gonna clear our third member. That intersects our engine mount. Boom, there we go. That's a little better. Intersects. We still have our known pink point. We just come down here and have a little small Sharpie tick there, so that's our known point. We take this. I have already went ahead and bent that 60 because it looked good. So there we go. That dot right there, when we set this on at 60, was the flat mark that our known point was. Our known point gets transposed over to there. And then now we have our clamp mark right there at the 4 for the tube bender. That flat edge clamp mark is now there. And when I say clamp mark, I mean right there to the edge of the black where the orange dot is. So already bent our 60, now we'll bend our 40. And then if guesstimation math works, that will be our first completed crossbar minus all the notching and stuff. There we go, 60, 40. Went ahead and measured and cut it off, but as you can see, clears everything. Do a little trimming. It's gonna move forward obviously because it'll hit the engine mount and stuff, but there is one of our cross members. Clears everything. There we go. Tacked in place. Clears the oil pan. Clears the third link. We're going to flex test it, make sure everything clears, and it definitely clears the diff. The only thing I was slightly worried about is dropping this one down and it coming in and hitting, but we will check. Looking at it, all it does is swings down further, so we'll raise this one back up and drop this one down a little bit, make sure this link doesn't walk this way. And passenger side drop down, same thing, link just gets further away. So I'm not going to fully weld it in yet until we figure out how we're doing the skid plate here. So that one's done for now. Let's raise this back up and we'll look at the front one. For the front one, we're going to come off right there. That plate we made, it'll come up and under. Let's flip around here. And then that is the oil filter, so it will be right behind the oil filter and then pretty much tie in the middle of the bolts of the steering box. This one's kind of easy. There's not a lot of stuff in the way. So come off of there, behind the oil filter, all the way over to the frame that's way over there. This one you can probably do 2 equal bends. I'm gonna guess a 20 straight, then 20. All right, ended up being a 30 and a 30. Did the same thing, measured down from this side over, found the end of my indicator, which was right there, then laid it to this side, end of indicator, mark back, boom. Same principle, just 2 even bends now. It fits up in there. Weave it up in there best I can with one hand. Boom. So, kind of fits up in there. I need to cut the tube vertical on both sides. As you can see, there it is. Vertical on both sides. It'll fit up in there. It'll tuck in behind the oil filter, clears everything, yada, yada, yada. Let me get it cut and tacked and I'll come back. All right, another quick tech tip. It's backing out. I'll let it get out of here so I can talk. All right, another tech tip. If you have to cut your tubes square, take your bottom tube that you need square, align it to your workbench best you can, then take you a good old square, butt it against your workbench, and you can imaginary draw a line all the way around. And that's how you get 2 squares. So that's what I'm talking about. Just take your Sharpie, draw you an imaginary line in your head, come down. There you go. Then we just take our bandsaw and we just cut it and we'll be square on both sides. All right, it's tacked in there. It's hard to see. I went ahead and painted the center of it black because you'll never even get rattle can up in there, but tacked onto the piece of frame rail I made out of 3/16, and then tacked over here. It's a frame rail. It's centered up between the steering block bolt, so if anything, it's just bracing everything up, which is the idea. We drop the axle down and weld it. All right, fast forward, fully welded, painted in. That one, I think I already showed you what I've done on the back side there. Is we have our hoop for our oil pan. It's tacked in place. I'm working on the hoop that's gonna come off this cross member and around. Fish eye this thing, there we go. So, working on the hoop that's gonna come around the transmission pan here. These two will get close to each other, and then we'll work on the brace that unbolts between the two. So if you have to take the cross member out, it can still come out. I've already bent the 180. It is over here, hanging on by a thread. That's the 180. We have to notch one side of it so it fits into right there. So get that done, and then I'll be back again. All right, the next hoop notched out to go on that piece. I'll show you in a second. Went ahead and painted the top, left the spots that are going to get some weld for other things, but the way his transmission skid can go on and off, so we can just service the pan. That little notch right there goes right there. So it's gotta get offset a little bit so the drive shaft has clearance. But wait for paint to dry, tack that guy in, and then we'll move on to the brace that grabs that one and that one together. And it's all tacked in. There you go. So kind of what we're going for, a little bridge plate in between them that bolts in. So that way that whole transmission skid can come down with that cross member if you have to service something. Little angle up to meet the engine, which is kind of what you want. So there you go. But it's end of the day. Time to get the big old jump pack and go get the other V8 thing we have inside. Greatest thing about this, you ready? Yeah. Cats are already taken off of it. This is one of the next shop projects. Big shop project anyways. Got this thing for a steal. Well, this is probably the last part of this video. We're making the bridge plates that will go between those two skids so they can bolt together. This one obviously being permanent and that one not. And my plasma just messed up. Sometimes it just doesn't want to light. Making some bridge plates as you see. Thanks for watching. Getting closer on this 100 series. Bye.